Finished one apiece at Selhurst Park tonight between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, and James Tarkowski, the Everton defender, has been our guest, and as you can see, he's struggling a bit at the moment.
Slightly.
When does that come off?
A week on Tuesday, yeah, week tomorrow, so not long to go.
I bet you're looking forward to that moment.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it probably looks a lot more drastic than it is. It's just slightly restricting my movement, but it's not too bad.
And as James was telling us earlier, he hopes to be back in action in pre-season and hopefully kicking off in the new stadium with Everton as well, and creating more moments like that. Let's have a look at James's career so far and what that looks like. And it's started in 2011 with Oldham, their professional career, and moved down south to Brentford, and then a talent spotters were out, took him to Burnley, where he played a lot of football under Dyche, and then met up with him again at Everton. In fact, we were looking earlier, 86% of your Premier League football has been played under Dyche. We'll come on to that. But he started 111 successive Premier League games, which was just a couple short of the record before this recent injury, playing every minute in 2 separate seasons. And you got known for this as well, James. Most clearances, blocks and aerial duels won in the Premier League since your debut. And you've enjoyed some great times as well. Promoted to the Championship with Brentford, to the Premier League with Burnley, and those 2 precious England caps in 2018. But I want to really start at the start. And you had some sort of experiences with academy football, but is it fair to say you didn't quite take to it straight away, or you didn't feel like academy football was for you?
Later on into my teens, I would say, early on, maybe 10, 11, 12, I was in academy football and really doing well, and sort of expected that's the way my career was going to go. And then never really panned out that way at Blackburn Rovers at the time, and my dad took me out of that situation. And then I rejoined Oldham at 16 and sort of fell in love with football again and just enjoyed myself. And fortunately fell into a club where the coach I knew for many, many years and took a liking to me. And I've always sort of praised him for the amount of work he did with me as a footballer and a person. So
when you were a youngster, when you were a teenager, were you a central defender known for aerial duels and blocks and tackles?
When I went to Blackburn, I was a striker. Yeah.
Not another one.
Oh, it's funny, isn't it, how many people... I mean, yeah. I was that young as a kid. Because normally, anyone who becomes a professional footballer, when they're a kid, you're normally the best player in the team, you know, whether it's your school team or, you know, your county team or your Sunday league team. So normally the best player plays centre midfield or centre forward. I mean, was that the case for you as a kid?
Yeah, centre midfield for a lot of it. And then just when I went to Blackburn, they just put me up top. So I was just sort of happy to play as long as I was on the pitch, and scored a few goals when I was like 11, 12 years old. And then gradually, probably like yourself, start moving back further backwards. And then once I sort of grew to the size I am now and started to fill out, centre back is where I ended up.
What age was that sort of big growth spurt then for you?
Probably around 15, 16 in terms of height, and then you start to fill out as you get a little bit older into your teens and start to use the gym and then put on a bit of muscle.
Your first goal did come for Oldham, and we've got the pictures of it. Here we go.
Carlisle United. Look at that. I think I blow a kiss to my mum in the stand at the end of this. Hopefully it cuts out.
You look like you're about 14.
Yeah, that was the end of my apprenticeship year, so I was 17, 18 years old there. Yeah.
You look like one of the in-betweeners.
How did the move to Brentford come around then?
I was in that team for 4 or 5 years at Oldham, and then I finally got a run of games under a manager, and I just heard that Brentford were looking at me at the time, and I was a bit unsure, to be honest. I was moving away from home. I still lived with my parents.
You're a Manchester lad?
Yeah. Still lived with my parents at the time, so I had all the comforts of the cooking and the cleaning all being done for me. But then Brentford came in, I was very unsure, but then once I went down to meet the manager in the club and the way the club was being ran, I was super excited to sign and move there and loved every minute of it.
We speak about Brentford a lot on this show, and we talk about the analytics and how they buy players. I mean, was that Everton, even in those days, that they were doing things a little bit different?
Yeah, it was. Not necessarily when I went to sign, they were showing me all these stats about myself and in that kind of sense. But as soon as I signed there, I could just tell it was being run differently. I was Oldham and Brentford in the same league at the same time, and they were worlds apart in what they were doing. And that was mainly because of finances, really. But I could see why they were at the top of the league and why Oldham had always struggled to get anywhere near that, because they were run like completely different clubs. And it was an amazing setup, and they were, at that stage we were at the old stadium and the training ground hadn't been done up like it has been now, but they were just doing step by step, getting things better and better, signing good young talent, and then the team just kept getting better all the time, and even after I left, the team improved even more.
Was it always in your mind, though, going to be a short-term thing, living away from the Northwest?
Not when I signed. No, not initially when I signed. When I signed there, I actually loved every minute of it. Just circumstances with family and life changed a little bit in my time down there, and I felt the need to get back home, and I was fortunate enough that Burnley wanted to come and sign me at the time.
Mum was unwell, was that right?
Yeah, she has multiple sclerosis, so it's a gradual decline in health, and through years you see that gradual decline, and at the stage I was in London I sort of saw that more and more, and I just like to be near home for that sense, to be around my family. So
Burnley came. Tell us how that worked out and how you found yourself front and centre there.
We'd had a good couple of years with Brentford. We got promoted from League One and we got to the playoffs straight away the season after, and there was quite a few players from my team that had already left. And Burnley were in the Championship at the time and doing pretty well. And then managed to get myself back up north, but then never really played for 18 months. You always think you're going to go and sign somewhere and walk straight into the team and sort of...
So were you questioning things at that point then?
Probably to the end of the 18 months, it probably got to the stage where I was thinking, if I don't start playing now, I'm going to have to go.
So you're sort of behind Ben Mee and Michael Keane, I guess, as the centre-back.
And to be fair, they were outstanding. When I was on the bench there, I never really had many complaints in terms of why I'm not in the team, because they did so well. They got promoted from the Championship, and then the team was built on a great defence, and them two at the centre of it. I was lucky that Keano was probably getting to a stage where he needed to go and make the next step. And at that point, it was like, well, hopefully I get in the team now, and if I don't, I'm going to have to look elsewhere. But the manager put belief and trust in me. I'd seen the work I'd done through the 18 months, that I'd improved as a player, and I got my chance to get into the team, and we had a great season that year.
So playing alongside Ben Mee, I mean, how helpful was that for your development?
Massive. Yeah, we shook up a good bond straight away. I'd been in and out of the team a little bit as a substitute and sort of filling in places here and there. But Ben had great qualities. He was a great leader for one. He read the game really well. And we just sort of suited each other's styles a little bit, and we managed to play so many games together. I say I knew what he was going to do and he knew what I was going to do, and we always had each of us back in that kind of sense, and it's nice to have a partner on the other side of the pitch that you can trust in like that.
Well, the manager was talking about going to Burnley, it's Sean Dyche, isn't it? And I almost think if you were playing, you know better than anybody playing under him, it's probably a nightmare to play for him as a squad player, but if you're actually in his 11, you'd absolutely love him, because he's not a manager who changes things too often, but once you're in, it feels like you're his man, isn't it? Yeah,
and I've seen both sides of it. As I said, I didn't play for the first 18 months, so when I've seen lads who have signed after I've been to a club and they've not played for so long, I've said, like, you just got to trust in the process, because at some point it does pay you back, which I've seen in other people. Nick Pope was one of them at Burnley, didn't always play at the start, but then he got in the team and stayed in the team, so it happened to many players. And in the end, I was lucky enough that he trusted me so much that he'd play me no matter what, as long as I was fit.
What did he want from you as a centre-back?
Defend. Keep it simple. Just defend. Do your job. Do the basics right. And it was always about not the individuals, the unit. So covering each other's back, covering spaces, keeping the gaps close. And yeah, the structure which he gives you is very simple. He says it himself, very simple, but it's all about the details in the way you do it. And we had a great record defensively under him.
Well, we know what you sort of stand out at. We've mentioned it already, though, the aerial duels. We've put together a list of various other categories in which you are pretty prominent since you made your Premier League debut. It's just worth reiterating as well that since James actually made his Premier League debut, he's no Premier League player has played more games of outfield players, starts and minutes as well. So top for clearances, headed clearances, blocks, and aerial duels won. Are you conscious of this stuff? I mean, season upon season or game by game, are analysts or somebody at the club telling you what you're doing well? Not initially. I think just as time went on and them stats started to come quite obvious in where I was progressing and I was showing the work I was doing. But if anyone would have watched me at Brentford, the clearances, head clearances, blocks, they would have never mentioned them things with me. I was not completely different player, but it's not something I'd always shown. My style was a lot more with the ball and running out from the back and trying to show what kind of player I was. And it was probably in them 18 months where I didn't play.
And in training, that all these things were drilled into me. So when I did get onto the pitch into the Premier League, that I could do those basic things very well most of the time.
So Sean Dyche has stopped England getting a ball playing centre back and got I mean,
no, not at all. Because I value them things more than anything else now. Because I do think it's about defending first. I mean, when I look back as a player, it was always about me really, like what I could do with the ball, and for me that's for the team and not for myself.
You know when you say you're not aware of those statistics, but are they the type of thing you and your agent have put together for your next contract?
Yeah, no, I hope he's got it down taking a picture of that.
But do you think you get pigeonholed though? You know, people sort of talk about you for that stuff and not for the ability to be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, them stats there show a part of my game, but not all my game. But maybe some people just see them bits, and maybe the style of of the team I've played in for a lot of my career, and say that's the kind of player he is. So maybe so.
Do you think it's interesting what you said there? Because I mean, you're talking about sort of your clearance, but all these different things. Now that straight away tells you that you're probably in the box a lot, defending, getting blocks and stuff. Do you think a lot of that comes from just the nature of the teams that you've played for, or maybe the managers have played for? You know, where you find yourself in the league.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think even at times there was a thing about, I only ever played in a low block, and I could tell you now for sure that we were trying to press every team we played against pretty much. Sometimes you end up in a low block because they've played through you so many times, but I've not just been in a team that's just sat on the edge of the box a lot of the time. I think because the stats maybe suggest that at times it looks that way. But for sure there's definitely there's an art to learning how to block a ball, as you'll know, and there's an art to positioning yourself in the box to get your head on the ball. It's not just by pure luck and the fact that I'm just stood in the middle of the box and it lands on my head. And it's something that I've trained really hard at through time. As I said, when I was at Brentford, there was no way I was going to be anywhere near those kind of stats.
2018, before the World Cup, you get called up by Gareth Southgate to join the England squad. What was your emotion of getting that shirt on for the first time?
Yeah, dream come true. It was an amazing evening. I got to play at Wembley against Italy in front of a packed house. It was the last game before the squad was picked for the World Cup. I felt very fortunate to even to be part of the squad in the first place and to get the opportunity to play and be a part of that team. It was amazing, and I wish I would have played for England more. I really do. It just never quite worked out that way.
Did you feel comfortable in the environment?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I've watched that game back maybe once or twice since I played in it, and felt like I played quite well in the game. Funnily enough, I gave away a penalty. It was when VAR had just started coming in.
You were the first one, weren't
you, at
Wembley?
Yeah, the first one. Quite a dubious decision, to be honest. But no,
against a Liverpool player.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Chiesa.
Yeah, no, but I felt very fortunate to be a part of it. I wish I would have done more, but.
Did you ever find out why you didn't get another call? You played twice, didn't you?
I played
against
twice,
Italy and Switzerland.
And I love it. I made the second game, I never played well enough. And then you're competing against some very good players who are playing for top teams. So sometimes that's the way it works out. And other people have good seasons elsewhere, and they get ahead of you. So I'm not going to sit and moan. I've managed to play for England, so I've been very, very, very fortunate. So
tell us about Everton then, and your special relationship that you really have developed with not just the fans, but the entire football club.
It's been funny. It's been like a really tough couple of seasons before this one. Even the start of this one, it's been very tough. There's been a lot of challenges as a club, as a team. It seems like it's constantly just like another challenge from another angle. And once you solve one thing, there's another issue. But now the place we're in right now feels a little bit different. There seems to be a bit of excitement, a bit of positivity around the place. And we're looking forward to the future. Do those challenges, though, breed, togetherness, a closeness? Yeah, they have. We've got a real tight-knit group, and I think without the group, we would have struggled in these last couple of years because, as I said, the challenges have been tough. It's been an emotional roller coaster. There's been lots of lows and some very big highs. It's been a challenge, but I do love playing for the football club. I really have. It's like the pressure's a bit higher than anywhere else I've been before. There's a few more eyes on you, but I've seemed to have thrived on that. How do you find that when you go to a club and you're saying the pressure's more? But obviously I know the city really well, and football is everything. I mean, and there's been a lot of supporters who, well, not a lot, the majority of them being obviously upset and angry. It's, in terms of people above you, in terms of boardroom, change of ownership, change of manager, constantly, this change of players. How have you found that? As I said, it's been difficult at times, and I've been an older, experienced player. I've had to sort of be part of the management of the group a little bit at times and being around it. We're very lucky that we've got Seamus who sort of leads the team, and obviously we've had managers above that leading it, but I feel like Seamus is the epitome of that club, and he does anything, he'll sacrifice anything to make sure the club goes in the right direction. So we're very fortunate to have him around us all the time.
Did the hierarchy of the club speak to someone like you and Seamus Coleman and other, maybe Jordan Pickford? Because at times there is a vacuum at the club because there is so much change and there's probably new people all the time. Use a little bit of the mainstays and being there for you. Do you just actually get spoken to by the ownership of the club and maybe managers about certain things within the club?
I think they try to at times. It's been difficult. There's been change of ownership. There's been different people in charge. The board left at one point, so there was different people coming in. So, not particularly myself. I'm sure Seamus has had conversations away from me. But as a group, and mainly more from the management staff in terms of the manager and the coaches, that's the way we try to manage it as much as we can, because we could only ever really control the stuff on the grass and all the sort of madness off the pitch. We have to just try and stay away from and stay clear from, but it's hard to avoid at times.